Hi, everybody. Welcome back. If you don't know, my name is Cooper, and today we're going to be talking about how to decorate your boring gray apartment so it feels like a home instead of a gray box. So, the reason why your apartment feels so sterile and stark is because a lot of the times rentals will be very builder grade. So, they'll have very basic appliances and very basic materials. This usually consists of luxury vinyl plank flooring, white drywall, concrete. So when you go to design it, you kind of have to be strategic about the decisions that you make to warm it up and make it feel less stark and sterile. The first thing I'm going to talk about is breaking from the color palette. So even if you're not somebody who loves to incorporate color, I would highly recommend incorporating color in a gray apartment just because you need some contrast to the space, especially if it's super harsh. These spaces tend to feel very visually flat, so they need some depth and visual interest added, and color is a really great way to do that. So one way that you can warm up your apartment is through wall treatments. You can get peel and stick tile or removable wallpaper that you can install. However, this seems like a little bit tedious and frustrating to me. I don't know. I don't feel like I have the patience to install something like this or just the time in general. So, usually, what I like to do to kind of help mask the white wall space is incorporate really large, colorful artwork. I think large artwork is a great way to make the space feel visually interesting without it feeling crowded. A lot of the times, people will opt for many, many small pieces of art or a gallery wall, which can look really great. However, this can be a little bit harder to make look nice, and if you find a really nice big piece of artwork, it does save you the time of looking for many little pieces to either put in a gallery wall or whatever you want to do. And I know that large artwork can get pretty expensive, but you can go around to your local thrift stores or like Goodwill or whatever, and you can find very large pieces of art for cheap. I would say just try and go a little bit more frequently, and you'll probably stumble into something that you really like. For example, the little like art piece I have above my bed is from Goodwill. I got it for $15 and it looks great and I love it. One thing that I would also highly recommend is integrating finishes that are contrasting to the ones that are already in your apartment. For example, let's say you have really highly polished hardware and finishes around your house. I would say maybe incorporating mixed metals or matte finishes into your design to help, mix it up a little bit. And I think integrating a multitude of different textures and finishes can help make the hardware that's already existing look a little bit more intentional and incorporated. Something that I did in my apartment was I incorporated mixed metals. Personally, this was very nerve-wracking for me because I'm not usually like a mixed metals person, at least when it comes to jewelry or whatever, but I found little ways to do it. I've got chrome and black chairs in my living room, and my couch sits on a brass base, and then I incorporate like little things. So whether it's candlestick holders or the poles on your desk drawers, like it's really about these little things that help warm it up and make it feel a lot more designed. The next thing I wanted to talk about seems a little bit obvious, but I think it's really important, and that's making your space feel very intentional. So what I mean by this is designating spaces for their purpose. So make sure your bedroom, for example, feels like a separate area that's your bedroom. Personally, I live in a studio apartment, so I think this is really important. One way you can kind of help separate rooms a little bit is textiles. So for this specifically, I would recommend either using curtains or area rugs because one, area rugs can help, make the room feel more designated, and you can also use curtains as like a faux wall. One thing that I see a lot of people do is in their studio apartments, they will hang curtains to kind of wall off their bedroom so it feels like you're living in a one bedroom rather than a studio, because I do think it feels a little bit awkward if you're having guests over and they're in your bedroom, your living room, your dining room, every room in your house at once. While we're on the topic of spatial designation, I wanted to mention investing in furniture that you can use as a room divider or to section off a room. So something that you can do is you can go on Facebook Marketplace or to your local thrift store, and you can find either just a shelving unit or bookshelves that are really cheap and kind of just stack them in a row floating in the middle of your apartment and designate a room based off of that. I would highly recommend doing this for the bedroom. I think it looks great. I did this in my last apartment and it really helped wall things off a little bit. So this is similar to curtains, but it also offers a little bit more storage. So I would say this is very practical, especially if you live in a very small space. I think another way to help make things look a little bit more intentional is following the lines of your architecture in decor. So I talked a little bit about this in my last video on how to make your home feel more cozy. Basically what I mean is, for example, if you live in a very stark modern apartment like I do, incorporating, those flat lines in your decor can really help make things feel a lot more cohesive. And I'm not saying only to stick to the design style that corresponds with the architecture of wherever you live, but just incorporating it through little things like I said before. So what I did was I got a really sleek couch and coffee table, and it goes very well with the architecture of my space while also feeling very collected and warm and grounding. This leads me to my next point and also the sponsor of this video, which is Coohom and interior design software. So I think that spatial planning is extremely important. I think you want to go into designing your apartment or house or whatever you're working on with an idea of the kind of furniture that you want, so that way your investments are intentional and you're not putting your money anywhere that it shouldn't go. In my last apartment, I had failed to do this and I bought all my furniture super quickly and it looked super awkward because I didn't have a visual of what I wanted it to look like in my head or on paper. And Coohom brings both of these to the table. Not only does it have 2D and 3D rendering options, but it also has a library of thousands and thousands of furniture items and construction components that you can add to your design and get an overall feeling of how it looks. Here is my apartment. I actually designed this in Coohom, and I really wanted to get a general feeling of where I wanted my furniture to go and how my space was going to look as a final product. And I know what you guys are thinking. Oh my gosh, this interior design software, that actually sounds so scary. How am I supposed to learn this? How is it going to work on my computer? Don't worry about it, because this software is actually super easy to learn and it doesn't take more than a day. Also, it won't set your computer on fire. It doesn't take up a million gigabytes of storage, and it's completely web-based or app-based. So you can actually use this in your browser. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're a professional interior designer or just someone looking to see how they want their home to look as a final product. This is a great option for either of you. I love to use Coohom for my client projects. It really allows my clients to see what services I'm offering and how their final space is going to look, which gets them very excited. And it gets me very excited because I love designing. So if you're trying to upgrade your apartment and make it feel very cohesive, there's a little bit more about Coohom in the description where you can find links and all of that. I don't advertise anything that I don't love. So you guys, seriously, I recommend this one. The next thing I would recommend is really upgrading your window treatments and lighting. In a lot of apartments, they'll either have roller blinds or really basic window treatments, but I really think it's worth the investment to invest in some drapery or just curtains. What I did for my apartment is I went to IKEA, I got a track curtain system and installed the curtains myself. It was super easy and I really love them, and they made a huge difference in my apartment. Fun fact about my apartment, when I moved in, the wall with the windows on it was made of this really metally, plasticky material, and so I was really eager to cover that up. And not only did the curtains do a great job of covering that up, but it also really added a lot of warmth and depth to my space, and actually a lot more than I had previously expected. Another thing I would say is investing in some lighting. I would say after the basics, this is probably the most important thing. Getting some little cute, unique lamps and placing them around your house can really help warm it up, because I think lighting really sets the tone of your apartment. So you can create a really nice warm glow really easily, and it kind of elevates things and makes it feel a lot more warm and like home. The next thing I want to talk about is incorporating statement pieces into your space. I think this is really important. Just to clarify, I think a lot of people think a really bright colored furniture piece when they think statement piece, but that's not what I mean. I would say something that leans more sculptural or unique in shape can really add to your space. One way that I did this was by incorporating some really funky chairs into my living room and got a super sleek and mid-century leaning couch. Also in my office area, I did a really heavy industrial desk with some more industrial elements to kind of, mix a space up and make it feel a little bit more eclectic. I think in bedrooms, one way that you can achieve a, more statement look is through textiles. So So maybe doing a bedding color that's a little bit more out there than like white or neutral. I did a really nice cool tone blue, and then I incorporated some like browns and reds into the space, and it really made it not only feel unique and personal to me, but also added a lot of visual interest to, a blank white room. Statement furniture also anchors the room a lot and makes it feel very curated, especially if you're using vintage furniture or textiles or whatever. The last thing I wanted to recommend is incorporating personal touches. As I said before, I think people get so caught up in making their apartment look like Pinterest worthy or Instagram worthy, and then they forget to add personal touches to their space, which I think is the most important thing. There's nothing better than a space that feels like you, and when you walk in, you can tell exactly who lives there. One way you can do this is, you can frame personal items, so notes or cards, or, if you have a specific interest in something, for example, if you really like plants like me, I really love doing some cool plants around the space, but you can also do that with like, ceramics. They make all kinds of Lego sets now that also function as decor, so whatever sparks joy to you. And I think that's everything that I have for you guys today. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Cooper Osinski Interiors, or you can visit my website, cooperosinski.com, and send me an email and book a consultation with me to help you design your space or, whatever you need. I'm happy to help. And I hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday or whatever day you're watching this, and I hope the rest of your day goes well. Bye.